Priya Nagar, our today's moderator, to kindly introduce our speaker, Asmita Srivastava.
Thank you, sir. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on the topic infringement of Indian laws in cyberspace with special reference to social media platforms by Ms. Asmita Srivastava. Ma'am has completed her BA LLB in 2019. She has done LLB in business laws and IP laws from MIT University. She also holds a diploma in cyber laws. She has been ex-assistant editor at Law Updater. She has served as an assistant law officer at BioRev. Ma'am has also done several internships, some of them being with Human Rights Commission, Uttar Pradesh Child Rights Commission, Delhi Legal Services Commission, and various other prestigious law firms. Let me just quickly brief you about the session. Asmita ma'am will be leading the session. You all are requested to kindly post all your doubts you have during the session and put them in the chat box. We'll be running a live question and answer session at the end of the webinar wherein you can clear them all. Now, without further ado, we'll turn the time over to our presenter, Ms. Asmita Srivastava.
Thank you, Priya. Thank you for introducing me. Hello, everyone. I would firstly like to thank Sir for giving me this opportunity, and then I would like to thank all the participants who are here, who are giving their precious time to come and discuss this with us. So, as Priya has already said, the topic of today is infringement of Indian laws in the cyberspace with special reference to social media. Today's generation is a generation which has been very exposed to social media, especially social media. Like, I have personally survived this quarantine because of the social media. Was logged in inside the house. You don't have any access to other outside world. So this virtual social media, if you ask me personally, social media is a virtual world where I come and connect with the outside world, of not just my own place, but of all the other places around the world, of all the other people around the world. So let me first tell you that why did I take this topic. This topic is something that has been very close to me because as people are very blinded by the glamour of social media, but there are a lot of things they don't know. There are very dark sides to it that just gets hidden or overshadowed by the glamour of social media, because everyone sees that we are able to share ourselves or share our emotions or share everything, our photographs, chats, or we are able to chat with the people. So we don't understand the darker side to it, that unintentionally is getting, like, our rights, how are our rights getting infringed by usage of these social media platforms. So let's start with the topic today. As I said, infringement of how the Indian, I have specifically written that the infringement is done on various bases on various countries. But what I am talking about is going to talk about is the how Indian laws are getting infringed by use of the social media. So I'll share you the PPT, and then I'll start explaining how this topic and like everything about this topic, the terms and everything else. Let me share you. So could you please enable my sharing so it's not showing? Yeah. Okay. So I hope everyone can see the PPT right now. So is it visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay. So as you can see, the topic for today is infringement of Indian laws in cyberspace. The two components of this topic today are social media and cyberspace. The two components, the two factors that have been taken in this discussion today are social media and cyberspace. I have given you the bookish definition of the cyberspace here. That's written that social media, interactive, computer mediated technologies. That this is the dictionary definition of social media, what social media is. But if I explain it to you in the layman language, social media is a platform, it's just a platform where people come together across the world. It doesn't limit ourselves to the one area, to a locality. It opens you to the world, and people come together and come in contact with each other and share their ideas, their interest, their knowledge, and that is how you form a community, the virtual community on this very network. Then social media, let's dive a little into the history of social media. Social media is not a very old concept, if you ask me. Social media is fairly new concept. It was first, the first social media site was 6degree, where it allowed users to create a profile, where it allowed its users to create a profile and ask them to come in contact with each other so that they could like chat rooms, virtual chat room. The first virtual chat room was 6degree, which came in existence in 1997. I mean, all of us must be in existence. We were all there. We saw social media getting born. But what I want to also explain is that social media is not just limited to Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, and Instagram. Social media also includes Amazon. Social media also includes other social networking sites like Amazon, Flipkart, other Wattpad, AnyBooks. Like, these are also the platform where people are able to share. Any platform. Social media is like any platform where you can come and share with people. And that is exactly how you know that social media is social media is providing you a platform where you are uh, able to know and express yourself to everyone. So coming to the second part of it, that is cyberspace. Cyberspace, as I have defined it in the slide itself, it is the notional environment in which the communication of the computer network occurs. Internet. Cyberspace is nothing but internet. If you like, seriously, it's like if social media is a platform, Facebook is a platform, then internet is a ground on which these platforms are built. So like social media can operate only if there is a cyberspace. You cannot have a Facebook, you cannot have an Instagram, you cannot have any other form of social media if you do not have internet, access to internet. So these are the two first factors for understanding the discussion that we are going to have today. So as we said, it is social media first, then cyberspace. Moving on to other things, the part that things that we are going to the discussion part of it is infringement. How is social media becoming a source of infringement, or how it itself is infringing the rights of a person, of an individual, an Indian citizen today? We see when we come on a Facebook or Instagram or any other social media or we use Amazon or eBay or any other social media platform today, we don't know that we know that we can share ourselves, we can share our photos, we can talk to our friends. What we don't know, behind all this there is another thing going on. There is another type of access that when you put sorry when you put yourself out there, there's this thing called, when you infringement, there's a thing when you sign up for something. What exactly are you signing up for? Or like you say, I agree to the terms and policy, and I don't know, I have never went and read the policies and terms of these sites, and I have never read the policies and terms. And that is exactly where the infringement is happening, and that is how exactly where the infringement is done. Let me tell you how. Have you, let me show you something. Do you remember this? Do you remember this page of Facebook? I mean, I'm sure all of you must remember this. This is the sign up page of Facebook. When you, what you first saw was like when you created your first account. This is how you filled in your details, and then, you know, everything else. Can you read a very small box down there that said, by clicking on sign up, you agree to our terms, data policy, and cookie policy. You may receive SMS notification from us and can opt at any time, can opt out at any time. Like, it appears very simple, it appears very good. It's like, what's there to worry about? The thing, the trick is there in terms and data policy and cookie policy. The the infringement, the real game they play is that in those three little words. If you click on them and you read their terms and you read their data policy and you read their cookie policy, you will see how much of it, how extent that infringement is happening. And this is not just done on Facebook. I am taking Facebook as a model to this explanation because Facebook today owns a lot of, like, Facebook is a parent company to a lot of major players in the social media market. Like Facebook today owns WhatsApp, Facebook today owns Instagram, Facebook today owns chat messenger, its own chat messenger. So Facebook, I am taking Facebook as a model because Facebook is a parent company to a lot of major players in the market right now. So I've shown you this sample of Facebook. So now I'll give you a little bit of reality checks regarding it, and this is exactly my study is regarding that, to make people aware that when you sign up for a social media site, you don't just sign up for chatting to people, you don't just sign up for knowing about people, you don't just sign up for some things like sharing your photograph or your audio or your something like your video clips or something like that. You are giving access to them to something so much more, and that is something, that is where to me the problem arrives. That is where I think the infringement arrives. Giving access is something else. Like if you ask me to give an access to my house, I have given you a consent to it, like, yeah, yes, you can please enter into my house. That is a valid consent, and that is something I've agreed to. But when you sign up for something like this, I'll tell you how much you have agreed for, and ask yourself, have you really agreed for all of these accesses that they are getting it from just this click, from just this click? So going back a little, telling you about fields of infringement. Like there are a lot of fields that infringement, social media is infringing into, but the three that I'll dabble into are right to privacy, contractual right, and IP rights. First, talking about right to privacy. As ad has been told by you, as you must, as the law students and as everyone, like even people who holds the journal knowledge, they know that in 2017, in Puttaswamy, in retired justice case Puttaswamy versus Union of India case, the right to privacy has been declaratory, like has been said by the Supreme Court to be a fundamental right under Article 14, 19, and 21. Fundamental right means the basic rights of our lives, right? For all the non-legal students, for who do not have a legal background, fundamental rights are those rights, they form the basic of our lives, like right to life, right to education. These are some of the few, like I can give you a list of rights, but these are the few rights that you cannot either waive away or no one can take away from you, right? So right to privacy is one of them. Right to privacy was first, the judgment was made in 2017 on 24th August by a 9-judge bench in the case Puttaswamy case, where it was said, where the judges the Aadhaar, it is also called the Aadhaar card case, where they very frankly said that you cannot infringe into someone's privacy. A person's individual's privacy is their fundamental right. It is their right to life. Right to privacy is one of the way of increasing the quality of life. It adds to the quality of life. Therefore, it is fundamental to the concept. So you cannot under any circumstances infringe that. So let me tell you how is social media today is infringing. I'm again saying I'm taking Facebook as a model because Facebook today owns the major players right now. But if I'm not taking Facebook also, there are other sites. I will name it when I'm showing when I'm discussing this topic with you. There are other sites who are doing the same thing, right? First, when you created first time, Facebook originated, the first time it came into existence in 2004. From 2004 to 2006, it was used only by the Harvard students to connect with each other. In 2006, it came on the international platform where it gained popularity, and by 2020, within around almost 20 or 15 years, you can see the extent the people are using Facebook. I mean, everyone today knows about Facebook and has an account at least, if not has an account, has a knowledge about Facebook, right? Everyone, even the kids today are aware what Facebook is. So when you first open, like when I had the same page, I had to write my name, email ID. I did all that, and I was very happy that wow, it's something now I can chat to my friends anytime I want and all that. So I filled up this page and I clicked up this button. Can you see that green button, sign up? Okay. When I clicked that sign up button, what I didn't know was how much exactly how much am I giving them an access to? And this is where the problem began. This is where nosy lawyers like us study and find the faults in us. So being a nosy lawyer, after a very long, then I was sharing everything on Facebook until I became a law student. So now being a law student, being a law student, I became a little nosy and I wanted to know what exactly were the terms and conditions. And personally, if you ask me, I was a victim to an infringement also. I'll tell you about it later, but let's first start. So when you came to Facebook, you signed up. When you signed up for this page, the question is, what did you sign up for? What did you agree for? Did you agree the Facebook contract is an EULA? EULA is end user licensing agreement. They contain the terms of a site on how they operate. When you clicked up for that green sign up button, the question is, did you agree to give them access to your messages that you send to other people? This is not, that is the thing that is worrisome to everyone over here is, this is not what that is all. Access to messages is just a very small thing. Access to SMS messages is a very small thing. There are various other things that you gave them access to. Let me tell you point by point how much violation of a privacy they are doing in your life. Like they have written in the, if you read, you want to see, if I have just quoted a few of them, but if you want to read it in details, go to the data policy of Facebook, and under how much access do you grant us, under the heading how much access do you grant us, go there and read the paragraphs over there, and you will see exactly the things. I have quoted it for you. You can find it over there also. If you find the access that you have given them, and by clicking on that sign up button, I'm going to tell you how much you are giving them. You are not giving them access just to see your messages. I'm going to tell you how much access you are giving them. You are giving them access to know the location of the photo you have located. You are giving them access to have the information of the people connected to you. You are giving them access of the SMS log history of your device and call log history of your device. You are also giving them access to any of your transactions. Like, I will tell you how. If you make a purchase on Facebook, you have to enter your card details and everything to make a purchase, right? When you do that, what happens is they have very specifically written that we store the transaction details, and that transaction details includes number of your card and other card details. That other card details, let me tell you, that other card details will include the expiry dates of the card. It will also include the CVV number of the card, which if given to someone, and if it in hand of a wrong person who is a very professional hacker, if you ask me, he can definitely do a bank fraud with you. Or if you give them, if they can definitely, if not hack also, if not do fraud also, they can track your bank activities. Then moving on to other things, you also gave them access to, like, people, if you comment on someone's photograph, they have knowledge of that. They know about that. Not just about your commenting, they have knowledge about people commenting on your photos. Then information, like, the thing doesn't end there. The infringement or the the invasion of these social media sites don't just end to when you are using their product. Like if I'm using the Facebook, they are not just monitoring my activity while I'm on there, like I'm using Facebook. They are not just monitoring my activity while I'm using Facebook. They are also monitoring my activity when I'm off Facebook. Like I'll tell you how. Under this, how much access you grant us, they have also told, there's a very between the lines written thing that the access to all these things, apart from all these things, they have another access, that is access to device. When you say access to device, that's where my heart starts. Access to something like a product, like activity on a product, like activity on my Facebook is something else. Access to the device from which I'm using is very different. I'll tell you how. If my cell phone today is having Facebook, then if I'm using Facebook from my cell phone today, then by doing that, I am granting Facebook to know, like they have written it. I'll show you. Like like I told you, information about a transaction made on our products, like if you advertise yourself and you make you make payments to debit cards or credit cards, then they have the details of those cards. Then they just don't have them, they sometimes store them, and that makes us vulnerable to all the frauds that are there. I'm telling you, if even if it is not bank frauds, it is very easy with a CVV number. It is very easy to track your bank transactions or your bank, anything happens in your bank account, any bank activity of yours, any account activity of yours is very easy traceable from that very CVV number. So and they have very graciously said that card details and other details. They haven't said what other details, how much do you have on that card, the small card, on a debit card. If I'm talking about a debit card, how much more do you have? Just the expiry, the name, the expiry dates of the expiry date of the card, the name, and what is the CVV number, right? So they also have access to that, and by doing that, we are literally exposing ourselves to any kind of fraud that happens. Then, as I told you, the infringement or the invasion of the social media site does not stop there, or does not stop as long as we are using these social media sites of Facebook or something like that. They go beyond that. It's not that they are monitoring us while we are on their sites. They are keeping a tab on us, keeping a tab on our device while we are off them. That is where I said, that is where my heart takes a beat. That is where the problem or the main issue, I would say, is there. That is where I can say that Facebook today is a very smart spyware for everyone. Like seriously, they can know your location, they have your call history, they have your logs, they have everything, they have access to almost everything, and they can do everything as long as they want, and as long as they wish to do it, they have an access to do it. Let me show you. I've also written down the points, like apart from the, I'll explain the device part. First, let me show you that location. If you upload a photo, they know the location of information of the people. I've already told you that information of the people, access. If you want anything in detail, all this I have pointed it out in the pointers. I have summarized it and given it to you. But if you want to read it, go to their data policy, and it's exactly in the same words, in the same words, not in the same words, but in a very elaborate words. They have given it, they themselves have given it in a point, because through, like, as the time is going by, people are getting more and more aware about it. And exactly the reason why I am sitting here making you aware that when you click on to something like this, when you sign up for something like this, this is also what you're signing up for. So be aware. I am just making you aware today. So when you say access to device, how these applications have access to our devices. When I signed up for Facebook, I might have, I agree that you want to improve your performance, you want to, make it more user friendly. So you have, you track my activities on your app, like what pages I'm visiting, how much, on whose photos I'm commenting, like what I'm commenting, what I'm liking to see, what pages I like to visit, or what hashtag I like to use. So I can understand that is how you are making it user friendly. But what I fail to understand, in the very name of making it user friendly, these are the accesses. Can you see access to the device and the device attribute, device operation identifier, device signal? These are also the accesses you are giving. I will tell you what is device attribute. Device attribute, if you ask, which they have written is, when you have a device attribute, they have access to the software you are using, they have access to battery levels, they have access to the signal strength, available storage, browser type, like the background of your phone. They have the information of the background of your phone, like on what system are you operating, how much battery do you have, how much, like everything. What browser type are you using, what are the even the file names that are there, they have access to that also. File names which we have in our phones, like gallery, we have, no, in the gallery we have Instagram folder, we have a different Instagram folder, we have a different Facebook folder, we have different folders, right? They have access even to those files which is present on our mobile, on my device. I'm not just talking about mobile, I'm talking about every device that has their product, like mobiles, tabs, laptops, Mac, anything that has various devices, whatever device that can afford, that can um, run their product is like they have access to all those devices. From whichever device you are running them, they have access to that device. So device attribute includes all the backgrounds of the cell phone, like I told you. What are you operating upon? Hardware version, software version, operations. Device operations include how are you using it? Do you know they can also trace the movement of your mouse? Like if you ask me, it is very uncomfortable for me if someone can track or alter or has access to the movement of my device. It also, you know why it is very uncomfortable for me? It is uncomfortable for me because this is opening me up for mouse jacking. You know what mouse jacking is? Mouse jacking is a way of hijacking into someone's phone where a person can operate someone else's mouse. Like I am not touching my device, I'm not doing anything. Someone is hacked into my system and they can operate from my device, and they can like without my even touching, they can use my mouse and create frauds. Mouse jacking has been very notorious infringement, or very notorious to handle during 2011, where people didn't know, because Java, during that program, hacking was done through Java, basic Java programs. So tracing of those Java programs was also very difficult. So what happened, that what these people did were, they used to jack the mouse of a person. They used to jack the mouse, like sometimes happen, if you want to make a transaction, especially with companies, if you want to make a transaction, if you want to make something like send a file or something like that, sometimes it is computer specific or device specific. Like if you can only send it, or you can make that transaction only from the device which is in their premises, or like somewhere like within their control, or over something they have control over. So what they used to do, they used to hijack into their mouse, they used to jack their mouse, they used to operate their device and commit fraud. So I'm still asking, when I signed up, when I clicked on that sign up button, I did not at any point of time allowed or agreed to the access of operating or having an access to my mouse operations. Moving on. This is what I'm telling you is like a small thing. This is not just like, I'm not talking, this is not mouse specific. This regards to every other device that is connected, all the output devices that are connected to our like desktop. If you have a desktop, then all other devices like CPU, monitor, speaker, it's jacking into any other device. Mouse was something that was in highlight in 2011, because mouse jacking was very common, and was used as a mode for committing a lot of frauds at that very time in 2011. Then moving on was device then identifiers. This is where I was the victim to it. What happens is, when you use Facebook, does it all the time. Yeah, we give them access. I didn't knew it until then. Until then, I didn't know it. You log into other sites with Facebook ID. You know, like I logged into any other, like Zoom. I logged into my Zoom. I logged into my Zoom with my Facebook ID. You log into other apps with your Facebook ID. When you do that, you are giving them access to all the information on the app, on that app also. Like if I am logging into Zoom right now with my Facebook ID, they have access to my Zoom too. Like my username, they have access to my username. They have access to the data I have stored there. So they, like when I haven't done with the intention of giving them an access to anything that I use on other app. But their EULA contains, specifically contains that when you are doing that, they have access to that ID. Not just, okay, that was about getting into the app thing. Now I'd like to tell you what happens when you do that with when you create a special ID for your Wi-Fi's. Like I am just showing you the level of invasion they are upon. They say that we use it to make it user friendly. I am just saying how much of this is user friendly. Can you really see it as user friendly? I'm still asking. To someone's mouse, movement of someone's mouse, is it okay to have an access to someone's, the ID I create in family, they even have access to that. That is the extent. That is why I'm again and again saying that is the extent to which they are invading our privacy. And you know, we are just signing up. We don't know what we are signing up for, but we are signing up for this. That is exactly my point. We are not signing up for, I didn't sign, when I signed up for Facebook, I didn't sign up for all these things. Moving on, device signal. Look at the accesses they have. They have access to the device signal too. You know what device signal is like? What I'm operating upon. Device signal like my Bluetooth, my Wi-Fi. They have information about that too. So that sign up button gave them information about that too, which my knowledge, I didn't have a knowledge of that when I did that. Then moving on was data from device setting. Okay. Have you seen, like when you do that, when you install a Facebook, do it once if you want to do it. Don't go with Facebook, do it with any other app, any other social media site, install it on your mobile. When they are getting installed, when you click on open, when they have gotten installed, when you click on open, they ask you a question, allow photograph, allow for photograph, allow for your calls and everything. So when you click on that allow, they have access to the operation of those things, your camera, your calls, your SMSs, and every data that you have on them. So like I'm again saying, when you click on that allow is not for uploading, letting them allow you to upload a photograph. That allow is for letting them into your device. You understanding? You are not just giving them the permission to you're not just giving them or taking their permission to upload your photograph or see others' photograph. They are taking your consent unknowingly to look into your device, to see your device, and to know what like every data, and they can operate it. I mind you, they can operate it. I cannot share it here, but there's a very basic Java program that if you use with these Facebook products, they can literally operate your camera or your calls or other things or other functions of your mobile. So I'm really thinking that you are getting a gist of how much, to what extent they are invading in your privacy, right? Moving on is sharing of data with the, this is what we agreed to. This is what they are telling us that we have as a term of our condition. That was all, that access was in the name of making the app more user friendly. This is also saying they now they are not just sharing it, they are not just keeping that data to themselves. Okay, I mean, a part of me can understand that if you're keeping that data for yourself, I'm like, okay, A part of me might be able to justify that if you have that much access and if you have that much information about me, then okay, fine. If you're keeping it to yourself, there comes a googly with that. That is, I am going to share your data with a third party. They do it with the intention. They say what they have justified in their EULA is that we do it for the advertisement companies, so that like advertisement pays them. As they have said that Facebook is free and we earn from the advertisement from the companies that pay us for the advertisement to show it on their site, right? So they share your data with those advertisement companies so they can come up with a better. That is what they have justified in their EULA. The breach of this was, if any of you remember, was Cambridge Analytica case. The dark side or the dirty side of sharing data with a third party came out, right? The thing which you said you were using for making it more user friendly, more accessible to me, more easier for me, that much like my data was revealed to a third party for political agendas. Now this is where I'm telling you, this is where it is not acceptable or compromisable to me. They are not just keeping that information or data for themselves, they are sharing with a third party. So like if you put anything or whatever data they have about you, they share it with a third party. Imagine the extent of their invasion. That have you ever seen that, noticed that whenever you are searching something on your browser, what happens is, like if I search on my browser for a blue t-shirt, I wasn't using a Facebook to search that. I was using my Google Chrome to search that. My blue t-shirt. I wanted to buy a blue t-shirt. I was looking for it and I typed a blue t-shirt online. So I saw a few of those blue t-shirts. Suddenly what happens is, Acha, I didn't feel like buying it. So I just closed the app and I was like, Acha, okay, fine. I will buy it later or something like that. And what happens is, you open your Instagram or your Facebook or something or any other app. WhatsApp doesn't show ads right now. So you open an Instagram or your Facebook, suddenly you realize there is an ad for a blue t-shirt. Doesn't that happen with you? Or Instagram is showing you that this site is selling the blue t-shirt. How did that? Stop for a minute and think, how did that happen? This is exactly what they do. This is like sharing with a third party. This is what exactly I'm doing. They have access to your browsing history, which they share with the advertising companies or the companies and accordingly, and when a program is run, according to the browsing I have done 20 minutes ago or 10 minutes ago, according to the browsing I done on different browser or like nothing related to Facebook. I didn't search it on Facebook. I searched it on Google Chrome. They take that device, like research my history, my search history, and accordingly they show me an advertisement. I'm again saying, when I clicked on that sign up button, I didn't give them access to my search history. While I'm browsing, what I'm browsing is none of their concern. My device is like, how can it be browsing that you are doing? I am browsing on I'm browsing on Facebook. You can have, I totally accept that you are using it for your own benefit. I can understand that you are making it more user friendly. It is okay with me. But how is browsing on any other platform? I'm browsing it on Google Chrome, and that is okay. Like, you are using it. You're using that information which is nothing related to you. That Chrome is not related to you. Anything I've searched on Chrome should not be related to you. But in the name of making it more user friendly, you are having an access to that also. I'm again asking, where is my privacy then? That is where the question arises. Where is my privacy then? Don't I have a privacy to search whatever I want? Maybe I'm not comfortable with you looking at my search history. But since we clicked on the sign up button, we have to share. They have that much access. I am again saying, this is so much about you making aware. When you click on that sign up button, You are literally selling off all the data, there is nothing personal left for you. Binding up the right to privacy, there's this case, Cambridge Analytica, as I told you, lakhs and lakhs of the personal data of the people who were leaked by Cambridge Analytica. They said Facebook said we didn't know how it was done, but it was again provided by the Facebook. Facebook said it was we gave it for the research work. But then again, I'm saying they used it for the political agenda. But the thing is, again, the privacy of a person, individual, was breached, right? Then there is WhatsApp Facebook privacy case. After Facebook took over WhatsApp, in a very recent of their very recent of their updates, they said that we will be giving all the analytics and all the data to the Facebook itself. When you do that, in the process of doing that, let me explain you that when you do that, when you send your data or your analytical analytics to a parent company, to another social media platform or another company, what happens is you give all away the contact details. Like, what would it mean for giving away the data? Data is not the Java codes and everything else. It means your messages, your contacts, everything that is more private to you is gone to another company. Now Facebook has your contact details, your messages, your chats, and your everything. In this end-to-end encryption was accepted by in 2015, I guess. It was became a permanent part of WhatsApp in 2015, I guess. Apart from that, Messenger doesn't have end-to-end encryption. Neither does Instagram. So any chat you do on them, any conversation you have, apart from WhatsApp, no other site of Facebook or no other right now, no other social media site right now provides for end-to-end encryption. Only WhatsApp provides for end-to-end encryption, right? Moving on, there is like this, I told you about the infringement of your privacy right. Then moving on is contractual right. In India, we are governed by the Contract Act. As we all know, contractual rights are given in the Contract Act 1872. We are governed by the Act of 1872 of ICA 1872. Before we going that, let's refresh about the fact that what are the prerequisites of the contract. Under section 10 of ICA, here are the few prerequisites for forming a valid contract, which are offer and acceptance, intention to create a legal relation, lawful consideration, competent parties, free consent, lawful object, not expressly declared void, right? As I told you earlier, Facebook agreement are EULA, end user licensing agreement. EULAs are those agreements used by EULAs are standard form of agreement. Have you heard of? Most of you must have heard the term EULA, standard form of agreement. Standard form of agreement are those agreements where only one party lays down the terms, and for the other party, that contract is either take it or leave it. I mean, you cannot bargain, you cannot negotiate or anything. It is either you take it on those terms or you leave the contract on. You don't take the services on those terms. This is usually used by the insurance companies as LIC or like other companies like carriage companies. You find that terms and conditions on the back of a on back or on the ticket of your railway tickets. On the railway tickets you find it usually, and you also find it on your air tickets. So these are few of the firms or few of the entities that use standard form of contract. It is specially being used by the insurance companies and other such insurance providing companies, I'll tell you. So moving on to that, end user licensing agreement is that agreement which a website or an online platform use, which lays down the terms of their operation. So as usual, even Facebook has, like every site needs to have it. So even Facebook has it. Facebook has EULA, and that is known as the terms of service. When you look at Facebook, it very clearly lays down the terms of service. Under these terms of service, I told you, you can find that under how we use your data, or how much access do you give us. Like under that come the data policy, cookie policy, and every other policy, right? So EULA of EULA of Facebook, Facebook social media contract is like an agreement which you enter into when
Your voice
you
is not coming,
sign
Asmita.
up,
Your
or
voice is
when
not
you
coming properly.
when you click on that. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, now you can start again.
Yeah. So I was saying that Facebook has an EUL. EULAs are the contracts on, or the terms of services on which a website or any other site present on internet operates. They are the terms of their services. Facebook also has it. You can find it on their page. You just type terms of services of Facebook and you'll directly find their link. Then when they have that, when EULAs have that, EULAs are, as I told you, just form a standard form of contract. Standard form of contract, although is not expressly mentioned in ICA, Indian Contract Act, but it is recognized in India. It is recognized in India. Although there have been a lot of debates about their recognition, or about their, validity regarding can they be accepted as a legal contract. There has been a lot of debates regarding that, although e-standard contracts have not been brought into challenge just yet in India. But yes, the form of contract, like the concept, like they are the contracts, so they are governed by that of the laws of Contract Act, as I told you. So when you click that sign up button, you are entering into a contractual relationship with these social media sites. So what I am trying to point out here is, when you do that, when you form a contract, you need to have a free consent to make a valid contract. To form a valid contract, you need to have a free consent. Over here, EULAs, although standard form of EULAs are standard form of contracts, although standard form of contracts are valid form of contracts, true, but they can be valid form of contracts when both the parties understand what they're agreeing to in the same sense, right? Agreement needs to be in the same sense. When I, like, if I tell you, in EULAs of Facebook or any other social media site, the problem there is that of a faulty consent. Can my consent of signing up, of my clicking, the action of my clicking, be considered as a valid consent? Because when I clicked on a sign up button, I did not have a knowledge of how much access I'm providing, or how much of my right am I giving up. That is what my issue was. That is what exactly the issue is. So all I am saying is free consent. The question of free consent with these EULAs always arise, that when I enter into an agreement with Facebook or other social media sites, the question is, am I giving a valid consent? Is there a legal binding agreement? Can it be said to be a legal contract? Because did you give a consent to accessing all that thing that I told you just now? Access to operating your camera, access to your devices, access to your browsing history, everything. I wasn't aware of that. Neither did I'm thinking no one else who has signed up for this is also aware of it. Is it? So that is what the concept of faulty consent comes into role. So EULAs have EULAs, although provide a contractual, although represent a contractual relationship, they have a very big fault of that of faulty consent. Because I am saying my consent was only to a limit of you maybe monitoring. I did not know the terms of your condition of your agreement, and I did not agree to the same sense, or my sense of understanding was much different from yours. I did not know I was giving away my rights, like you pointed out in your agreement. This happens a lot of time. Although the companies or the social media companies have argued that we give them we do make people aware about, we give them an access to knowing the right, knowing what we have written in the in their in our agreements. But I'm again asking, how many of us do actually go there and see it? How many of us actually go there and read it? And if we don't read it, and if we are, so that is again, that is an again, they are playing very small. If you ask me, they might be saying that we are giving you a chance to, you know, go and see into terms and conditions, or and they do give us a chance to look into the terms and conditions. But is it not very playing very safe that when you they have given you a hyperlink? I showed you the page, right? I showed you the Facebook sign up page. They have given me the link of data, the term, data and cookie policy, but they have not made me aware and what all. Like, I had an option to go there, I had an option to watch it, I have an option to read it, but is that enough? Can that be considered enough to get a valid consent? I was still not aware of the terms. I was still, and can this be considered as taking enough step to make a person aware? Right now it is a moot point. People, some say it is, like they have the social media site says yes, we are giving them a fair enough chance, they are opting for it. But if you look at from an individual point of view, they are just playing it very smart. They are playing it extremely smart. They are giving you a checkbox that you can skip it. They are making it in a way that you can skip that reading part, and this you can just sign up. Although I understand that they're making it easier for us, they try and make it easier for us, but the question is it actually getting easier, or is it just escaping the liability? The question again arises, are you literally making it easy for me? Are you making it easier for me? Or are you trying to defraud me? Because if I come to know the kind of access that I'm giving you, or if I come to know the rights that I'm giving up, then I'm not very sure that I would like to sign up with you. They say we don't try to waste our users' time to look into the terms, to read it completely. So we are giving them an option to directly sign up. I agree to terms. You put a tick on that. I agree to all terms and conditions, and then you can move on, sign up. Question is again, is it a fraud, or is it definitely a smart move? On my point of view, it is a very smart move. And like I told you, I am a lawyer. We are a lawyer here. We are legally aware of our rights. So that is why I told you, when I got defrauded by that, I was a lawyer. So I looked into their terms and conditions. Look at from the perspective of a layman person, of a legally unaware person. Would he go and read the terms and conditions? Would he ever even turn the page of that contract that he has signed, of the EULA that they have provided, and they are saying that you have given a consent to, and under which they are infringing your rights? Can that be justified? I don't think so. Then required, there has been, like, India hasn't really asked this question for a very basic reason, because they are not aware of it. If I'm telling you today, many people might not have even known that their sign up has given Facebook access to these many things. I didn't know about it unless I actually looked into it. Many people most of the people still don't know that sign up means giving access to this much of your privacy, right? India has not like right now, it has not raised questions on these EULAs as such. There has been no case right as of now, but there has been cases on standard form of contract. LIC of India versus Consumer Education and Research, wherein the court has put down the gavel that if you are writing in a dotted line, and if the parties are not at equal position to make the negotiation or bargain, then it is not a valid contract. For the first time, they have come forward and said that if you are not if two parties, or if one party is dominating the other, then if there is any sort of coercion in getting the consent, then then it will not be considered as a valid agreement. Then there's another case of Indian Airline Corporation versus Madhuri Chaudhary. This was the first case that actually addressed the exploitation of weaker party um, in form done by the standard form of contract. Like, but although the Supreme Court supported the Indian Airlines, and said that they didn't have a liability, but this was the first time the exploitation phase of the standard form of contract came into the light, right? So moving on, then comes the third wheel to this infringement, is that is intellectual property rights. We have various, right now we have various intellectual property rights. Presently there are 7 of them in India: patent, trademark, copyright, other various other rights to protect our intellectual property right. Intellectual property rights are those rights which we have in any in all the creation that we do, anything that we create with our intellect, like books, articles, research, anything that is created by our intellect, or uses our own talent, and we make it originally, and there's an originality to that. That thing contains the intellectual right to it. Intellectual, that becomes an intellectual property, and that intellectual property has rights, and we have those rights. The question today is that, like, very basic question is Facebook, or are these social media sites providing either they are very fertile grounds for the infringement, or if they are not very fertile grounds for the infringement, they themselves are infringing. I'll show you what. Go to the data, go to the terms of service of Facebook. Open the first page, third paragraph, clause 3, yeah, clause 3. They have very specifically written, I'll tell you, they have written, when you upload a video, when you upload anything that has intellectual property right, we have a non-exclusive, royalty-free, transferable, worldwide, like you worldwide license to know use your IP content that you have posted. Like, you can read it also. Can you see this? I have written it over here. It is a non-exclusive. When you click on that sign up button and you upload any intellectual property, any content that contains an intellectual property right, you are giving them a non-exclusive, transferable, sub-licensable, royalty-free, worldwide license to use your IP content. Do you understand that? Like, and also the major part, the funny part of it is, just before this line, they have said, we are not taking away your right. When I read it, I was laughing, and I was thinking that are they literally saying that to me? Because they cannot even take away the rights they are taking away. They are saying that the right to have a non-exclusive license, or the transferable or worldwide license for my post, they don't even have right to that, and they are saying they're not taking away my right to the thing that I created. So somehow, keeping apart the jokes, when you post any content, anything at all on a social media site like Facebook, they are telling you that when you do that, we have a non-exclusive, transferable, sub-licensable, royalty-free, worldwide license to use your content. Copyright Act section 30 says that it is just me who can give you the. How does that give you? How does my signing up, or I never agreed personally. I never agreed to give away my licensing right to you. I did not give away anything. I did not give the right to sub-license it. They are not just licensing it, they are sub-licensing it also, and that is something very disturbing for me. I'll tell you an incident.
Smita, we request you to kindly conclude quickly. We are running short of time.
So this is the last point. Okay, so as I told you, I'll just conclude it. Then there's an eBay case for I'll conclude the topic by saying that eBay case, eBay made a very huge IP infringement where they were selling the product on their platform. eBay itself was selling the product with they were selling other like the quality of the product was, the company of the product was something else, but it was selling it under the name of what was that company's name? There was this company was famous. Acha, eBay case also happened with the Manish Malhotra. The Manish Malhotra address was sent under the name, under the brand of Manish Malhotra, although the address was that of, I don't know, some shitty place. And for that, they paid a very hefty price. What I'm trying to tell you with these cases, and the Fairmount Hotel case also is there. What I'm trying to tell you with this case is these social media sites are either providing a very fertile ground, and social media sites like Facebook, social media sites like eBay and Amazon are providing fertile grounds. Social media sites like, they are very much infringing it from you. They are exclusive right to grant because you're not aware, you were not given a choice to grant it. Apart from that, other unfair terms are they have the power to make variations to the agreement. There is an arbitrary clause that arbitrary clauses like you can only file any person other than user who has to file any other, like any legal case or has any legal issues, he has to come to US and file it in the court of California itself. He cannot do it anywhere else. Then age verification. I don't know why they play this scam of age verification. They say 13 years is a age, but I'm telling you, I registered my own niece who is 18 months old, and they didn't have any problem. What kind of verification they are doing, I'm still, it is above me. Then warranty disclaimer, liability. They have put a blanket on themselves that we are not liable for anything that is like any product that is there. They have totally covered themselves that we don't have any liability if the warranties that is given there. If any warranty that is claimed, if it is breached, or if it is not fulfilled, then we are putting a blanket, we don't have a liability. Apart from that, that will be all. I just hope I was able to convey the fact that when you're signing up from this little green small sign up button is taking away your rights, taking away your privacy, taking away so much what you never thought, right? So that is also I like to conclude with this.
Thank you so much, Smita, for this wonderful session. Now I request Priya to kindly take up the questions as it has been posted on the chat box one by one.
Ma'am, first question is from Anna. She wants to know how we know that a phone's cloned to the other's phone, because nowadays if someone share any app one to another person, then one's phone cloned to another's phone. So what precautions we take that a phone cannot clone others? Any suggestions?
See, cloning of the phone can be done either like willingly by us, or it is done by the apps like Facebook or Share It or things like that. They don't do it directly. They do it by using the cookie thing, the cookie policy. If you read there, they use this thing called cookie, and they link it with they link your phone with other devices, and they gain information that way. This is how they get the information. They use these cookies to gain information, and to avoid them, well, don't use these apps. But the thing is that Facebook doesn't limit itself only to its users. That is what the main issue today is. Facebook doesn't limit itself to its users. Facebook goes beyond it, and infringes the right of the non-users also through these cookie buttons, like the like button we see, the thumbs up button we see. It has cookie attached to it, and if a non-user uses it, then the data of that non-user is also going to the Facebook. So it is like, if you ask me, it is very hard. But if you want to stop it, try using these apps, especially these apps on single device. Like I use Facebook only through my laptop. I do not have it on my cell phone. If I do not use this device, if I do not use this app on my cell phone or some device, or a device I do not want these app to have access to, do not use these apps on those devices.
Priya, can you this Asmita, can you stop sharing the screen so that we can have a
Yeah,
wider
yes.
view?
Sorry. Yeah.
Now we have questions from Advocate Sankrato. I'll go
Yeah.
with his questions one by one. First question is,
Yeah.
how do you see all these infringements come to an end ahead with PDP bill?
Hmm. Sorry, come again. Yeah, I did not hear you.
Yeah, sure. How do you see all these infringements come to an end ahead with PDP bill?
I see these the very basic step to take is making people aware. First is the first step we need to take is that of awareness. If we do not know that this is the infringement that is happening, if this is infringement, if we do not know this is infringement, we cannot stop it. We need to know that first. We need to have the knowledge that this is our right and this is getting infringed, or these people are accessing or having access to our privacy to that extent. First is having awareness. Second is these Facebook or these social media sites need to ask more of people's consent. Consent needs to be more clear to people, like profile photographs. Generation above me doesn't know that if you do not put a filter on that, or if you do not put a guard on that, it is by default on public or your friend list. If you do not change the setting itself, then by default that friend list is open to everyone. That is exactly my point, that Facebook needs to be more, if they are claiming that it is more user friendly, they need to have more access. People need to understand them more. They need to take the consent more validly. That is how I think so it can be stopped more. Like privacy settings allowing things, you cannot give the false sense that you have the control, but in fact you don't actually have anything. So they need to look above that, these sites especially, and we need to be aware.
Ma'am, next question from Sangrito is, how do Arogya Setu app authorize all the inscription of the data that are fed in by the users?
See, Arogya Setu app is still under controversy. I read an article about it very recently. The data on Arogya Setu app, although it came by the government authorities are claiming that it is under our protection, but they are also sharing it with a third party for the survey reasons, for the reasons of drawing academical researches, like research data and everything else. Like they are sharing it with the third party. And although it is important for us right now to share that data, but the question is, Arogya Setu app, the EULA they have, is not very clear. If you read the EULA of Arogya Setu app, the access Arogya Setu right now has is very, like, access they are saying that we have is very vague. We do not exactly know how much access do they have, and we do not know how are they using. Like Facebook has very clearly laid down that we are using your data in a particular way, or we are using your data in a very, like, we are using your data to help. But Arogya Setu they have said that we are using record of that. But the question is this all that is happening? They have, because in their EULA they have written and others and other works. What is that other work contains? It's very vague right now. The EULA of Arogya Setu app needs to be more clear, because right now EULA of Arogya Setu app is very vague, and we cannot. It is very premature of me to say that either they are using our data right now, or they are not. Our data is very protected or not. I won't. It was very premature to say it right now. I don't know the authority that are operating it, or I have no idea how much extent they have an access to it right now. So a little premature to answer it.
Ma'am, again, next question is from Sangrito again.
Okay.
He says, what do you think is an effective alternative to the process of feeding in the essential data to use an app? Is there an alternative mechanism that can be fully infused into the whole system to be changed?
See, the alternative way I can see is that of if you ask, I did used to do programming way back. If you put up a data firewall, if you program a data firewall, when you do that, if you do it in a very, like, professionals, when they do it, what they do is they put filters on that. And when you do that, what happens is, if if those filters are not at least able to stop your information, then what do they do is they make you aware of what is being shared on these sites. On these sites, they make you aware of what data and what exactly is being shared. So like, having an alternative for this, we don't need an alternative, we just need a better version. We serious with these social media sites. Social media is a very, if you ask me, it's not all harmful and all bad and everything. It's also a platform that is providing us an opportunity to connect to the world. We just need to make improvement or provide a better, make it more transparent to each other. We need to say that we are providing it for free and they are using our data, so indirectly we are paying them. So the usage of the data needs to be more uh, sensitively done. That is one thing. And if you ask me for the alternative way, we don't need an alternative way, we just need a better, we just need to make the ways that are there a better one. And as for what can be done, I think a well programmed, because I personally know Java, so I can only talk about Java. A well programmed filter laid down on these websites can, at least, if nothing, if not much, they can at least make you aware or tell you what access is being done and when it is done, right? To what access, like what access is done to what device and when it is done.
Next question from Sankrito is, he wants to know, does Truecaller completely grabs the privacy of a user, his inbox, calls, almost everything?
It's exactly like that of Facebook. Facebook says we protect your privacy, so does Truecaller. Truecaller claims we protect the privacy of the caller, we protect, but at the end of the day, they are showing you the caller. Although I would say they do not dig into device for your information. If you put a name on a Truecaller as XYZ and do not put your real name, and someone else also doesn't correct it, then that remains XYZ. So at least they have a decency of not getting into your device and taking out your details or taking out your photo, which sometimes Facebook does. So,
Right.
so yeah, in the name, yeah, they may be saying that it is crap. All the social media sites are doing that right now. So yeah.
Mom, the last question for today's session is from Richa Sharma, and she wants to know, only WhatsApp provides end-to-end encryption, but it is still to some extent gives some or the other access to third party.
Yeah, it does. It does because, where does it give us? It does give access to group chats. On Google, very recently happened, you can put, you create group links, right? If you put that group link on these search browsers, you get, and if it is access, and when you access it, you are able to be a part of that group without the consent of those group members. But if I put that link on a search browser and I enter it, and if I search it, then I become, and if I access it, then I become the part of that group. Yes, it is very much there. End-to-end description provides more protection to the one-to-one conversation. Group chats are still very unsafe. I'm like I told you, although Chrome has taken steps and blocked it right now, but other browsing, like other browser apps like Mozilla Firefox or Explorer, they are still trying to do it and they have not taken. But we can still, I'm still saying, you can put on a URL link of a group, and if you enter it, you are a part of that group without the consent of all other people.
Thank you, ma'am. That was all for today. Nitish sir, we are done with the questions.
So your mic is not on.
Sometimes that this technology, we forget to switch on and switch off. In the court proceedings, when we argue, there is nothing like this. So certainly we have to develop a practice. So now I request Priya to officially thank our today's speaker, Ms. Asmita Srivastav, who has spoken very well on this, under table topic, but which is required to be come on above the table. Yes,
Uh,
Shobit, there is a hand I have seen.
Sir, can I ask a small question, sir, if you permit me, sir?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Uh, Thank you, ma'am, for the informative webinar on this technical subject, ma'am. I
Thank
just have
you.
two queries and two questions, ma'am.
Yeah.
I think one of them answered during the webinar itself, ma'am. It was is respect of, ma'am. Can the app maker or the owner of the social media, whoever is the owner, can share the details of the user to the third party without the consent of the user of the app? I think you have already answered it, ma'am, in the
Yeah, it is
webinar.
there. It
Yeah.
is there. It is a part of their agreement that they can share it.
And ma'am, second, the query is, ma'am, what I want to know is from you, ma'am, when a person like me, a user who don't share their family photographs on social media, ma'am, due to the privacy and everything, then by agreeing this to terms and condition on social media apps, like what we have learned from the webinar, ma'am, is the app maker has the access to all these family photos and he can share it to the third
Yeah,
party?
yeah. They cannot. They might not share it. Sharing is, if they share it, then it becomes a hacking. The moment they
Okay,
share
ma'am.
it, it becomes hacking. But they have access to your photographs. If they want, they have access to that. They have
Okay,
access to your photographs, everything on that device in which you have that app.
on the all the photos, ma'am. And
Yes,
ma'am,
yes.
sir, thank you, Nitesh sir. Sir, I just have one small question, ma'am. Nitesh sir. Sir, ma'am, what we have learned from the webinar, ma'am, that in this case, should we clear the history of Google browser before we
So
close
clearing
the
it,
browser?
first of all, I need to clear one thing. When you clear the browsing history, it clears only from your device. It
Okay,
doesn't
ma'am.
go away from the Chrome. Chrome still has your history. Chrome, if you put a program and if you run it on it, it will again show all your history that you have deleted. Only the deletion is done that from the device. Chrome still has your history. It is deleted
Okay.
from your account. It is there. History, it has its history. And Facebook, and if you have a Facebook on device, deleting your history is not going to help it, because they have access to it when you are running it. When you are running it, they have access to it then. So you delete it only after you use it, but they have
Yes, ma'am.
access to it when they're using it. So
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt, ma'am. That is also related into this PlayStations like Sony PlayStation or like PS4. When we download the game or we install the game on the PlayStation,
sir,
they also.
sir, any gaming platform which provides for a
Okay,
multiplayer
ma'am.
and uses a wireless connection like Wi-Fi or internet
Yes, ma'am.
in
Yes,
any
ma'am.
way,
Yes, yes,
then
ma'am.
yes, it is a social, it will be considered as social media, and they do it,
If we
PUBG.
install it on ma'am, if we install it in a, like any game on a Sony console, so it means that we are giving the consent according to the terms and
Yes,
conditions.
yes, of course,
What we have
yes,
learned.
yes, yes. You
Thank.
when you download it, downloading is a consent itself.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for the answers. Thank you, Nitesh sir, for giving me some more time.
Thank you, Shobit, for taking up this question. I think many viewers have got to know much more about the same. And now I request my moderator Priya Nagar to kindly officially thank our today's speaker Asmita Srivastav. Over to you, Priya.
It's my immense pleasure to take a moment thanking ma'am for being here with us today. It was an informative session, ma'am, and was an important topic to speak on. As we all know, it is important for us to get acquainted to cyber laws and crimes in this COVID times when we are maximum using the technology. Thank you, ma'am, for enlightening on the topic. It was an honor to have you on this platform today. Lastly, I would like to thank our viewers who took out time to stay with us till the end. Thank you, sir, for giving me the opportunity to moderate the webinar. With this, over to you, Nitesh, sir.
Thank you so much, Priya, for giving such a wonderful thanking note for our today's speaker. We all are very glad that we get such good speakers and our moderators who are always there to do the entire webinar with us. And last of all, I always thank my viewers and participants who are remain constantly with us during these webinars. Thank you, all of you. We'll come with more such webinars in the future. Okay, thank you, Asmita. Thanks a lot.